just good these days, right?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. Could have been worse. I know you're not feeling.
Maybe everyone is just good these days, right?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. Could have been worse. I know you're not feeling great, but it could have actually been worse. And, you know, we saw some of that 3v1 that you mentioned. We saw a little bit of that on Anubis, not to the same extent. You know, why do you think?
A big, you know, blowing up picture of his face up there, right? He is already one of the legends here in Katowice.
Oh,
Samdai Young, here's these footsteps.
What a spray.
And he'll go on a tear for the double, cut down by Snacks, but still Samdai Young has teed Monty up for another round here, a 4v3 after that multi-kill in mid.
You know, you see teams come in who haven't played play-in very slow, maybe very, you know, you talked about it in the check-in today. Play-in teams are warmed up. Group stage teams got to catch up with what could be their first tournament of the year, and it is for Monty. But I think this is a roster that doesn't need much warm-up time, always seem ready, and like I said earlier, I think the break will have done them so good. And with an open bracket with Mouse or Cloud9 in the winners match, if they can win today, that's, you know, you're liking your odds in comparisons to the Vitalities, the G2s, the top side of the bracket. So I think Monty are gunning for the spot egg, and I wonder who will be able to put a stop to them. We'll have to see if Gamer Legion are up for the job.
I think especially over here in Group B with Vitality being down there alongside a very informed Heroic and only one spot available, it's like, damn, like you really don't want to go into that lower bracket, right? That feels like certain death. A little B play looking to come through for Gamer Legion. They just slowly tiptoe out through Monster. Good util to displace Bro in at the barrels. Him and Demka playing on top of one another here, and Demka gets overran. Bro can't withstand it, so battling back from the man down, a Gamer Legion. Warrior 2K is up in the heavens, but smoke in his face. No chance to play in yet.
Oh no.
Maybe no chance to play in at all.
I thought that smoke went underneath. Instead, he tries to climb over it. What an angle for Kio's. Not going to be ready for this, but the spray is so ugly. Isaac must trade, and if they don't move, hands off the keyboard, they win the round. Warrior has no kit. He's considering it. He's dropping in, but he saw that cross out, and with every second that passes, his chances elude him. That damage might be consequential. Warrior should just be able to get out of the range of the bomb. But Gamer Legion find a second round, and it's off of Kios's lights out double entry.
Yeah, very well done there. And, you know, I think you got to give a shout out as well. The whole reason that setup even looks so awkward is because of that you know, util combo used to flush Bro out from the barrels. Suddenly, that rather complementary crossfire that you had from underneath Heaven and the barrels player is forced into like this very awkward, claustrophobic feeling sight hold where Bro, you could argue, you know, it's like him and Demka try and play a sort of bait and switch, but I think it's very obvious that there's going to be a second man floating around there. It's standard util out of Gamer Legion. It's nothing special, but it's all capitalized on very, very nicely, and it uproots the Monty game plan.
Seeing a lot of smokes being broken in this game, I think Overpass is a great map for it with these tight tunnel choke points. And I asked Rushley, our resident observer, to get some info from League Ops on the damage reduction of team damage. You see, you know, often players blow up smokes when their teammates are stood in them, and the damage reduction for grenades is only 0.85. So if it was 1, it would be full damage. If it was 0.5, it would be half damage. So it's still pretty high. My point being, bullets are 0.33. So if you shoot your teammates, you only do a third of the damage. But if you nade them, you do almost 100% damage. We've seen a lot of players get, you know, mauled by their own teammates' HEs. You've still got to be very careful here when it comes to blowing those smokes, something that Gamer Legion have already done a lot on Overpass. They did the same against VP. Those little details do matter.
I'm waiting in this game for Warro to get involved, because it's clear that he wants to be involved in these rounds, but he's been dodged for the most part. That's so awkward. Kraz now on the jump peak missed the info that they were already deep out long, and this one might just sail by Monty. They lose that top site dominantly, and Warrior 2K, he just seems averse to the action here. Not his doing. He's trying really hard to be involved in the start of the rounds. He's been peeking mid, he's been peeking con, but just getting dodged. And the round that Gamer Legion decide to head up A is the round that he goes for that aforementioned con peek.
Oh no.
Warrow's just left saving. And the Gamer Legion are looking to hunt him down. The USP
not sure about that.
leaves him wanting. And that AWP is lost.
Yeah, he started, like you said, looking for picks mid, but Gamer Legion go for 3 B hits in a row, and then the second they go back to A, Warrior started in connector. So Krasnal feels like he's checked long, but I love the call for Gamer Legion. It's just insta-long, close wall, they play it tight, and if Krasnal doesn't swing wide, he doesn't get the info. So it's going to be Monty coming through with an eco now as Gamer Legion have woken up. And with a vengeance, they go back to that B hit. Everyone is here, though.
Yeah, bro.
Oh.
Good dink. Time well with Demka's nade. More damage coming out of these pistols. It gets a little hairy, but there's the return from Gamer Legion. Now up 3v2. Gonna just hound down these remaining players, and Demka can't do a thing, so well contained there from Gamer Legion. That could have got out of hand very, very quickly once those few crucial openers go against them. But able to regain some control. Volt kind of starting to pull ahead, similar to that performance that saw them beat VP in the play-in stage. It's a good that he's offering up a decent bit of consistency here for Gamer Legion on this map. And now we're into a tie game. Acor got run boosted, but then just went like, nah, actually, I'm not peeking B.
There's not much you can do there.
Yeah, fair enough. You're just going to get smoked.
Ooh, Samdai Young again, delayed mid-take. The molly is less common nowadays. It's a hard lineup. The smoke is, well, an everyday occurrence. Samdai Young tries to play behind it. He won't hang out forever in middle. With Warro AWPing long, it's important that Samdai Young doesn't get picked early, or Warro loses all information on middle. So back to the bomb site, with his eye still on toilet, so Warro can't get walked on close. Supporting his teammate by staying alive. That smoke removes information for Monty. Warro can definitely still hold for a little bit.
Looking like he's going to get dodged again in this round, though.
Oh, they could walk. Oh, okay.
That bomb was going back, and so this little play out through middle is nothing more than a space-taking fake for Gamer Legion. They force Monty back to play a little more passive within the sites. And now that they have connected, they look to go B. That means Bro and Demka will get tested again, and they both play close to Monster. Going for this sort of bait and switch on the left-hand side of it. Demka going to make first contact, and then based on his results, Bro's just going to take a swing after the fact. You hope they're so tunnel visioned on Demka.
What?
The Bro could pop off, but it never even gets that far, man. Demka just churns them up. They peek him one at a time. And that was their greatest mistake. Demka lines them up, knocks them down. And Gamer Legion is sent packing from that play down towards B.
He's sharp.
He's looking really good to open this up, man. Considering how often B has been the object of desire for Gamer Legion, and I know they've still had some good results down there, you feel like Demka's putting in a hell of a lot of work right now to try and lock this site down.
You give him the fights, that's what you get right now. And if that funnels them up to A, well, you finally might get your dream, Harry. You might get Warro actually getting some engagements on this top site with the orb.
Mate, it's not my dream, it's his dream. You can tell, like, he's been approaching these rounds very active for the most part on the AWP, even looking interested in, like, impossible 1v2 clutches, right? It's clear he's wanting to have that explosive impact on the orb, but has been dodged thus far. And so will Warro finally get his round? Will Gamer Legion head that way? Because that play in towards B has left them hurting. And so a little tag timeout called on in.
Well, this is a cool game because while you have some teams like Cloud9 who don't even have an AWPer, you, in this game, have two teams whose statistical best player is their AWPer. And obviously, if you said that in Go, it wouldn't have stood out too much. But there are two AWPers that haven't really had a notable drop-off in CS2, where many others have had trouble adapting. Of course, not everyone, best AWPers in the world, still able to show that. But, you know, on these middle-of-the-pack teams, still, Warro and Acor have given us phenomenal games as of late. So, something to be said for that. Demka, however, is the star of the show right now. And he wants his time in the spotlight to continue. Aggression towards short on an off angle in the open and hungry to peak, but still restrained despite his aggressive position.
There in the mid-round, they actually go ahead and just walk back this short control. Just wanted to deny it early to gain the Legion. And I mean, when you don't have connector, doors blowing off, it is a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of angles there. You're kind of weaker on the B site as a result, so they just fall back into it.
From them, I think obviously they had chances in this game. They could have won, but at the end, confidence that they can compete on this level, right? And individually, just when it comes to the aim duels and whatnot. So definitely a lot of lessons to be learned for Rebels from this tournament.
That's going to be the fun thing, though, right? Because now the fun is over for them. No more Katowice for them. They go back to the online circuit. They go back to all these open qualifiers. And sometimes it's hard for these teams to accept that, you know, that you now have to grind your way through a lot of teams on your own level, so to speak, where it perhaps a little bit more random. We've seen the peak and the potential from the Rebels. I'm curious to see if they can get their way and fight their way into more of these tournaments in the future as well.
I think they've totally changed the way we think about the team as well, right? The individual
depends on how they come back and do at home, you know, because we will instantly forget about the Rebels if they can qualify for another big tournament. It sounds harsh, but that's just the way it is.
That's true. That is the reality. I thought it was interesting when Snappy was up here on the desk that he said he found them actually quite difficult to read, that they were doing a lot of things that he didn't necessarily expect.
And SNX was also the game leader of that Orcs lineup that was at Pro League, right? That had HS in it, and also All Info's on that team. So, you know, we already see a couple of the guys who are there show up at another big tournament. So maybe a couple of names to keep an eye on for the future.
Ooh, some banging matches there, huh?
There are indeed. It's going to be a murderer's row of games here as we start to send a few more teams through and a few more teams out here.
Vitality Heroic is an elimination game.
It's a lower bracket game, yeah.
Lower bracket game in the first round. G2 versus Ents for a spot in the Spodek. Kuben versus Taz, a big one. And the last there to finish off the day, Navi versus the loser of Eternal Fire phase that's going on right now.
That's astonishing. That is an astonishing slate of games, an astonishing slate of names. But that is going to wrap up our day here, if I'm not mistaken, here on the B stream. It has been quite a run of games, quite a storyline to close as well. But now it's time for us to say goodnight. There's still action going on over on A, so hop on over and get ready for tomorrow's games as well. We'll see you bright and early here at the Intel Extreme